Hello, everyone. My name is Roopa Sunku, and I'm the Chief Evangelist for Career Help at Touch a Life Foundation. I bring to you another episode of Career Elevations. Today, I have a very important person in my life joining me today on this platform. It's none other than my husband, Ravindra Sunku, who is the CIO of Brilliant Earth, VP CIO for all things IT. So I'd like to welcome you, Ravindra. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. So let's start off by sharing with the audience where you currently are working and what do you do currently?
Yeah, and I joined Brilliant Earth as their VP of IT and CIO about a year and a half ago. My role expands everything IT across from employee productivity platforms to web operations and CRM and business applications. So all things IT, anything that Brilliant Earth technology needs they are kind of run and managed by my team. And I currently oversee a team of about 29 full-time employees and about 35 consultants.
Excellent. So how did this journey begin for you in terms of going into IT? And what have you done in the past to be able to bring you to this current role?
Yeah, my journey has been interesting. I started as an engineer. I was a mechanical engineer by academics. I did my undergraduate in Chaitanya Bharati, which is Usmania University affiliated in India. I did my mechanical engineering there, and then since then I came for higher education to do my master's in industrial engineering at the University of Oklahoma. I was definitely a manufacturing and industrial engineering guy. I was never into the software or technology side of the world. My early career, I started at a company called Quality Fabrication, where I was a buyer procurement for the organization. Since then, I grew in the ranks, and about 6+ years I was there, learning the business, learning the small business operations, which was a kind of a foundation which I lean back even this day. So I got a chance to be part of the procurement organization, then into production management to operations management. So by the time I left that organization, I had an opportunity to run operations for a 150 employee manufacturing organization, which was kind of my foundation that led me on my path to where I am today. So I think I would say that was the kind of a turning point. After I left my job in Southern California in manufacturing, I made a transition to technology. So I got a chance to join Oracle, same company you work at, running support operations. And I think the one thing that I would take away from that interview and that opportunity at Oracle, which kind of led to my technology career path for the past 20+ years, is I distinctly remember talking to my manager, Ralph, who hired me into the technology role. And I did ask him after I got my first paycheck to say, "Hey, Ralph, why did you really hire me into this job? I'm not a software engineer. I don't have any software background. Like, why do you think I'm a great fit for this role?" So he said, "Ravindra, I can teach technology to anybody. I cannot teach business operations and business processes. And that's where you stand out from everybody else because you understand how business runs. And once you know how business runs, then enabling technology from a business standpoint is what is unique. So I can put you through training, teach you all the software skills, but I cannot teach you business operations because you have to live through it to understand how business runs." So I think that was, I would say, a turning point. And I think that statement from Ralph still I lean on, and every time I look back at my career to say, like, what got me here. And I've had a huge thanks to Ralph to kind of open the door for me to explore this opportunity. And that has led to my career trajectory since then.
Fantastic. It's the practical and the real world scenarios and experiences that has brought you to an area that you thought you were not ready for from an academic skills background. That's just a great perspective to be able to think about what people study may not be where they land and drive to their interests, passions, and future. So that's a great perspective to have. All right. So let me ask you, what are some of the philosophies that you have adapted to in growing the ranks? You talked about growing multiple ranks within your first 6 years of employment and then coming into a pivot with Oracle, with technologies. And ever since you have moved up the ranks within the all things IT as your portfolio. What were some of the driving principles or what were the driving forces to get you to where you are today?
I think my first few years at Oracle, I definitely got a chance to learn technology, software, and how businesses use software, how they bring in productivity. I think one of the key elements is that every time you join a company or join a role, you get to learn a little bit more. So till date, I feel that I'm learning every single day. So I wouldn't call myself I know everything, but every industry is slightly different. Every business is slightly different. I think one of the things after I left my Oracle career, about a couple of years after I joined KPMG Consulting, which used to be called Bearing Point at the time, I think my consulting background was like a big, huge eye opener for me. I got a chance to work with many large, small, mid-sized companies, all the way from GE Capital, which is a large conglomerate, to a technology company called On Command, which was doing distribution services. I worked at telco companies in JDS Uniphase and a bunch of startups where they were trying to implement systems. I think the Oracle base and my consulting background opened my doors to kind of explore other things. And that brought me from consulting and working for a software company on to industry, where I took my business operations skills I gathered from my first career, my software skills, and my consulting skills. That kind of made it a well-rounded resource or individual as I grew my ranks, working several companies all the way from Handspring to Palm and others, which led me to this path. I think one of the things is that when you're in a larger company, you are a kind of a small fish in a big pond. So you get to learn only little, and your scope is limited, and you may have a lot of deep knowledge about how large operations work. But I think I gradually gravitated towards startup companies. I found my niche in startups where I'm able to wear multiple hats and put a lot of my consulting and prior background to use. So I started in the business systems and business application side, and over time I kind of graduated into like infrastructure, and from infrastructure to end user systems, and now currently I oversee even e-commerce. So these are all like stepping stones. I think one door opens the other, and I would say for anybody who's looking to grow, never close the door to learn. Always keep an eye open for the next opportunity, and those doors will automatically open.
Fantastic. It's nice to hear you speak about opportunities to learn and to keep growing in every facet of engagement that you have with your life or at work. What were some of your influences to kind of keep you on this learning, growing, startup kind of a mode where you talk about literally letting the doors open and you're right there by that open door?
I would say I give a lot of credit to my path, to my network, the people that I work with, where we build the synergy to kind of work together. I got an opportunity to work with some of the leaders who grew the ranks in front of me into other roles where we build the synergy. So I relied a lot on my network to kind of look at other opportunities where I get a chance to work with people I work with. So your execution is that much more easier. You understand the people. And I would say the second key attribute were some of my managers who have now become my mentors and my references. I would say those are probably the two parts of my network and my managers that have opened the doors for me. I think one thing that I would share is that once you see success at one level, I think if you have a strong manager who wants to give you opportunities to expand your career path, they would open the door, just say, like, since you've already done this, why don't you contribute or participate on something else? So that, I would say, has been a huge factor, where every time I changed roles, I picked up one more thing that I never did before, because I bring in the experience on certain areas. certain areas are new to me. I think the organizations and my leaders were able to take a chance with me to say, we understand that that's not an area that you're familiar with, but I think you have enough other skills that can help you learn. And I think one other key has been surrounding yourself with people that who know these things better. I think that is a key, because sometimes it's never a situation where you would know everything. I think when you surround yourself with talented people, you lean on at each other. You take energy from each other to grow not only your skill and also elevate your organization. So I would say those are probably a few key attributes that led to my career path and my success.
That is nice. And in casual conversations with you over a cup of coffee or a cup of chai that both of us enjoy, we've talked about networking being your Rolodex. And obviously, we are dating ourselves here by saying Rolodex. For those of you who don't know it, it's that little circular turning device with a bunch of cards that had telephone numbers and addresses. That used to be the strength of our network. That we equate to today. And so Ravindra has been known for his power with his Rolodex or his network. And the second aspect that you highlighted was about having mentors, having stakeholders that can be sponsors for you and know what you bring to the table and what you can do if you were given the opportunity. So fantastic thoughts to consider as you grow your career. Tell me if and when you face those challenges and all your current experiences have not turned out to be the optimal solution, how or what do you do to untangle yourself and come out of that challenge and make you successful in whatever you have been handed off?
I would say one of the things is that when you look at a problem or look at an opportunity or a situation, I would say understanding what is the business driver, what are we trying to solve. I think if you're able to zero in on that, then you can partner with your stakeholders, your business partners to help solve together. I don't think anybody expects one individual to have a solution or have an answer for everything. I think the other area which has helped me is that I work with a lot of technology partners. I reach out to them saying that here's a problem they're trying to solve. Every technology vendor definitely wants to build their footprint in a given organization. And this could be at any level if you're in the organization. If you have a technology contact outside of the company or a platform or a solution that you're using, you can definitely use them to kind of say, here's a problem that I'm facing. Do you have anybody that you can connect me to help solve this thing? I think the network effect is very powerful. And I would say you learn through your mistakes. I think one of the things our CEO at Sling Media, Blake Krikorian, he had shared with me is that this was in the early days. This was about 60 employees when I joined the company. One of the things he always said is that take risk. Risk is what you need to take to get ahead on where you are. But sometimes you take a risk that may fail. That's okay. Acknowledge your failure, but learn through mistakes and then move forward. I think if you are stagnated in one specific role, or then you're not taking the risk, and you'll never learn from it. So I think learning through mistakes, sharing your learnings that you encountered and the mistakes that you made, so that others don't run into the same situation. I would say that also builds the trust with your peers, with your organization. And I think being transparent about where you had made a miss and what steps you've taken to correct yourself. I would say those are things that led to success. So as the listeners of this podcast are understanding, like, how do I grow? I would say that is probably one. You need to win the trust of your leaders, learn how to take risk, and learn from those to make strides. I think that's what puts you ahead of the game.
Fantastic. I think I would definitely second those 3 pointers that you have shared, as getting yourself unstuck would be simplified using those 3 mantras. You sound like a very, very serious person on this call, and I know you personally, and you are not. So tell me, what do you do outside work that kind of keeps that life-work balance going for you and make you a more interesting person, I would say?
I would say there's probably 2 things that I gravitate towards when time is available outside of work. I think one of the things is I would say I enjoy cooking, so I get a chance to dabble in the kitchen whenever I get a chance to try new things and follow new recipes. And outside of that, I would say I enjoy live sports. I'm not a sports person in any fashion, but I enjoy live sports, and I go to several sporting events from football to baseball to basketball. I'm a season ticket holder and a bunch of these local teams. So I cheer for that, and I think I would say that's a great outlet for me. I also kind of see, like, I think there's things that you learn from these games about strategy and play calling and team building and so on. If these things are like team sports, so I would say there are things that you feel and how you energize yourself, and then you come back into work and kind of use some of those things to rally the team that you work with. So I would say those are the like couple of things that I do to decompress or like enjoy outside of work. So I think that has been a kind of a great outlet for me.
Awesome. I think the analogy between sports, building strategies, and teams is something that you relate to and bring it back into work to make that a viable team building exercise and team build. Itself, the forming, the norming, and the storming of a team becomes something that you can associate to your pastime or your passion. Lastly, I'd like to close off with saying, who are some of your role models or people that you look up to in terms of getting that goal for the future set up, or just in admiration of people that have influenced you in your thinking and your approach to life?
I would say first and foremost, it's my dad, who's no more. He is one of those people that was a very, very hard worker. He kind of always was focused on doing the right thing for the company, doing the right thing for the people that he surrounded himself with. I would say he was a big influence on how I behave, I operate, and I work together. One of the things that which I learned from him, which has been a kind of a guiding post, is that this is an industry, and no matter where you are, you always make friends, you don't make enemies. I would say that is a big key that I have been able to build and continue my network of people that I work with, and people that work with me or work for me 15, 20 years ago still want to come back and work with me. So I build those relationships. That's what I would say. Those are probably some key influences for me from how I operate and how I learn. I would say there's a few other people that I look up to were my managers in the past. Of Jeffrey Weber, who was the CIO at Shutterfly, was one that I kind of looked to. Bhaskar, who was my mentor, my manager at Handspring way back in the day. John Gilmore, who's now was part of Google, now I think is an entrepreneur, who was the COO at Sling Media. And like a Blake Krikorian, who passed away several years ago, was the CEO at Sling. I think they're all the people that I look to, like how they operate, how they learn, and like how they kind of bring companies from ground up all the way up. I would say I think definitely I looked up to the leaders in my organization that I work with to grow. I would say one other person that I would say it's somebody who kind of came from nothing to establishing a large company, Katrina Lake. She was the founder, CEO of Stitch Fix, somebody who kind of took this concept from her kitchen all the way to a multi-billion-dollar company. So I've always looked up to the leaders that in the organizations that I work with, and those are the few names that come at the top of mind that influence my way of working and how I operate.
That is such an interesting perspective. I have spoken to many people, and in fact, I think I'm learning that about you only today during this podcast and this sort of inner reveal with you, that you have tried your hands at multiple startup companies, and those leaders and those people that you worked with and worked for have been that inspiration to get you to the next step. Most often, people will refer to celebrity or somebody out there that you would hope to become, but you are taking live examples within your own experience and skill set of working with them or working under them to be that role model. And it is just beautiful to see a very different perspective of influence in your life. I'd like to really thank you for spending this time with us and talking to me on this platform. And I'm sure you have some simple yet meaningful processes and experiences that have given you that trajectory that you call success, or I call success for you. And I'd like to ask you if there's anything in terms of a last message that you'd like to leave behind for our audience.
I would say keep your eyes and ears open and learn every day. I think if you're able to do that, I think success will find you.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us. And I'd like to share with the audience that the entire org of Touch a Life is hosting a Kindness Day event in Santa Clara Convention Center on the 19th of November. There's going to be a multitude of speakers with keynotes and other foundations sharing ways to pay it forward and share kindness. So please do join us. And if you'd like to register, please go to touchalife.org and you will be able to do that. Thank you once again for listening in. And please write to us if you're looking for any specific areas or avenues of people that are successful or industries that people are successful to be able to learn and grow in your own career. Just like Ravindra shared about his own managers and his own CEOs and CIOs were being those pedestals of learning and success for him. Thank you once again and have a great one.